Redstone projects need a lot of planning. If you do not plan, you will run into troubles very quickly. So to prevent you from running into them, I decided to make a tutorial on how to really start off with the Redstone project. I'm going to start from the basics. So first of all, you will need to know exactly what your problem is or what you're wanting to develop. What I mean by that, let me make an example. You want to store something automatically, and the storage system should be capable of automatically fill up other techniques. Okay, that's the quite easy part, so let's move on. After you know what the problem or the attempt to solve After you know what the problem or the attempt to solve with the technique is, you must ask yourself, how am I going to solve that problem? So mostly you're just making it the easiest way possible and do not think about it in any detail. But just think about it. Think of it for some time. Take time. I'm not talking about really small techniques like an Autodropper, but bigger techniques like a super smelter or a brewing machine or something similar like that. Because if you're not doing this in any detail, your technique is just going to be slow, huge, or too complicated, and with this also very laggy and not resource efficient at all. So for every technique there are multiple good ways in doing it, but only one fits your exact problem the best. Due to that, it's so important to know what your goal with the technique is. So think about that in close detail. Again, the example with the storage system. I want to make it as simple and lag-friendly as possible. And here we do have many problems. Many people think that they can make a technique simple, genius, and small at the same time. No, genius crosses out all of the other two ones, and the other two cross out genius, mostly. If your technique should be almost unbreakable, your technique is going to be huge, just no way around this. So now you know how you're going to solve the problem. After this, you will have to think about how you're going to build it. Think of how the system works. It's important. Just think globally. Again, we're using the example of the storage system. So here I've set my goal like that. This system should use a key item which gets dispensed by a dropper and then gets picked up by an item filter at the storage system itself, which then activates a clock which sends the item needed to the receiver station. Then the spare items travel back to the storage system and deactivate it. And there is a second loop which goes to the farms. And now you've planned out everything in detail, so now you can go and build your system. For all of those people who aren't so experienced in Redstone, I will give you some tips and tricks and show you some important techniques to know. This list isn't complete at all. If you're searching for something, feel free to join my Discord and ask me. A link is down in the description box below. And in addition to that, I would highly suggest checking out a video by Mambo Jumbo. He made an entire video about the most important redstone circuits, and also one video about all of the components. In the future, I will also make one which is similar to that, because these videos are quite old, and so I can go into depth on each component that got added in new, and also mention the older ones. And if any new component gets added to the game, I will update this other video, which will come out sometime in the next few months. So now I'm giving you a quick overview over the most important things of redstone circuits, and also a bit over the redstone components. So let's start. First off, we do have a stackable and a non-stackable version of an item filter. This one is a bit bigger than the other one, and these ones do only have the purpose to just prevent you from throwing in other items than there are filtered. They are used a lot in storage systems. Next off, we do have flip-flops. they're just circuits which let you switch on and off stuff using redstone, not the player. They're used a lot in logical circuits. They're just the most important things. And you also have a T flip-flop. They are using only one input. If you're powering it once, then it will switch on, and again it will switch off, and all over again. Here we have one using a monostable circuit, which I'm going to be talking about later back there. And also an observer using monostable circuits. Next off, we do have a bunch of NOT gates or inverters. If we switch it on, it switches off. If we switch it off, it switches on. This one is using a torch, this one is using a piston. It works just the same. And here we do also have another use for these ones. It goes on relatively quickly, but takes a while till it switches off. As you can see. Next off, we do have a changeable comparator clock, which fires as fast as this. This is 2 redstone ticks. And then we can also expand it a bit, then it's going slower, as you can see. And we can also make it even slower by adding a bit more delay. As you can see, you can expand this like to death. And here we do also have an observer clock, really basic. Just 2 observers detecting each other firing, and that's it. And then one is hooked up to, for example, a node block or whatever you're wanting to use. Here we do also have a bot powering using piston clock. They're used a lot in Mango designs, I think. And here we do have a hopper clock. I mean a real hopper clock with 2 hoppers with 1 item in it, traveling back and forth. It's a very slow clock. It can be made slower, but it's very laggy, so I would suggest using this one back there. And it's also more changeable. And here we do have the most annoying clock, and it's also very cheap and easy to make. Just an observer, a piston, a bit of redstone, and that's it. Yeah, this one is a very fast clock. It's, I think, it's 2 redstone ticks. Redstones, yeah, 2 redstone ticks clock. Here we do have our timers. We do have a comparator pulse extender, as we used there, and they just load and then unload again. And here we do have a repeater pulse extender, which is used for lengthening observer pulses or just lengthening some pulses, but not too long. They are really huge. I would suggest using these ones, except you're using observers, then just put one of those and then one of the small ones of those, and after that the big ones. So turn it around and fix it back. And next off on our list we do have an etho hopper clock. They're using items with hoppers, really basics, really nice design, I think. And we do now here have the longest and easiest to build long time timer, the 5-minute timer. As you can see, item gets dispensed down here. It's diorite because I hate diorite. And yeah, like that. Just take out an output. Or invert it actually, because mostly you're just going to need a short pulse as soon as it's empty, as soon as the item is despawned in there. Yet this thing is a bit on the wasting side in terms of items, but there are a lot of junk items which you do get in Minecraft. And next off on our list we do have some Autodroppers. You can just put in some items which can just automatically get shot out of this, and then it switches off. Here we do have a more advanced system, which uses a bit over a stack of items, and then it's just starting to fire it out. It's a stack in 18, I think. And this configuration you can also expand it that it needs a full dropper to start off the system, so it's preventing lag in terms of in contrast to that one. And then it switches off. It's very quick. Next off, we do have a NOR gate. So the torch is only switched on as long as all of those levers are switched off. And the opposite thing of this is actually the OR gate. If any of those are switched on, the signal is switched on. These two are the easiest gates to build of all of those. Yeah, actually the NOT gate is the easiest, but these are also very easy and also easy expandable. Then we do have an AND gate. Only if both of those are activated, we do get a signal. Otherwise, not. And that's basically something similar to this one. Here we do have an OR gate. If this or this is switched on, but if both aren't switched on, we do not get a signal, because that's an XOR gate or XNOR gate, depending on how you're calling it and what's your source of information. Next off, we do have a vertical one wide monostable circuit. This makes just a short pulse of one redstone tick, which then forces the piston to spit out its block, the sticky piston. And here we also have a horizontal one. It's a bit on the wasty side in terms of redstone, but yeah, that's another story. And here we do have a sand counter. If you're just pressing the button, then or the signal comes in here, then it's just using a monostable circuit, which gets lengthened to a 2 redstone tick poles, which then forces the pistons to push up their blocks. If the power flows into the sand, the piston stays extended because it's butt powered. And if you're just going to rush through it, and if it's just filled up entirely, if all of those counters are on, it automatically switches off again. And it's back ready to operate. Next, we do have a 1x1 Torchtower. They're just transporting signals upwards with 1 tick delay on every 2 blocks. This thing here is a bit slower. This has a delay of 1 tick on every block. It's also 2 blocks wide. Why ever should you use this one? Because it's using way more torches, like double the amount of torches. It looks cool. It's used mostly for animating stuff on a screen or something like that, because otherwise it would just be a waste. And here we'd also have the downwards version, because to transfer the signal down we do need to waste a lot of space and not so many torches actually. It's just it's a bit more resource intense than this one, but it's also downwards, because downwards we do not use as much as upwards mostly. You can also use observers and lamps in between or something like that, which is updatable, or droppers, etc. And here we do have some Minecart-Unloaders. We just put in like a stack of pistons here and a stack of pistons here. We just, wherever these are in there, I don't know, we just take them out. As you can see, we just put in this thing, and then we should just send them in both at the same time. And then you can predict which one of those is better. This is a 1-hopper and this is a 2-hopper design. What do you think? Which one of those? I just wanted to say that I messed up, but no, I haven't. As you can see, that one is already coming back, and the other one is still unloading. This is double the speed of that one. It uses double the amount of hoppers, but that's another story. And also repeater instead of redstone dust, and a block more. But it's worth it. Definitely, I can say that. And last, we do have a horizontal double-piston-extender. Very easy to build, very effective, and an even easier way, a vertical double-piston-extender, as both of those are not my design. It's just I wanted to show this. So I do have to also say, all of those designs aren't most of those aren't my designs. They're just, I wanted to show them to you that you know that they exist, so you do not have to search for them. So many of those do also work in Bedrock Edition, but these two ones do not work in Bedrock. This works. This does also work. These two, the T flip-flops, do not work in Bedrock Edition. All of this here does work in Bedrock. This also. Here, everything except this one. And this doesn't work in Bedrock Edition at all. There you have to take a different design for it. I can also make once a tutorial on how to build a Sandcounter. That's what I'm also going to do in this video. I'm going to make a tutorial on everything of those things I showed here and even more stuff, and also a variant of this here. The 5-minute timer works, the hopper clock works, all of these other things here work, I believe. These two is not, because they're not monostable circuits, it's just going to fire, it's like going to be a clock. You can also build a clock like that, but you do not get any signal, so it's pointless. XOR gates work, and work. Here also everything works. Now this one doesn't work, because we do have a piston which gets locked, and that's not the case in Bedrock Edition. You do have to design this a bit. Redesign it, yeah. And so now we're going through a bit our blocks. We do have redstone dust, which is the wire. We do have a repeater, which can lengthen the poles, can also be locked, and can get some delay. Comparator is one of the most difficult items in Minecraft to understand. We do have two modes, subtract and the normal mode. It can be used for clocks, etc. Then we do have a redstone torch, which is used for inverting and transporting signals upwards, the easiest way. Then we do have normal pistons. They are used to push blocks away. Then we do have sticky pistons, which are used to push block away and also pull them back again. Redstone blocks are power sources, are movable power sources, are a bit difficult to use in Bedrock in Java Edition, but easy to use in Bedrock Edition. Droppers are used to spit out items, and dispensers are used to dispense the items, which means like water buckets can be emptied, but all the items which cannot be placed by it will just be spit out. Here we do also have a hopper, which is used for collecting items, transporting items without them laying on the ground, which that would make them be able to despawn. On the other side, we do have the iron door, which can only be used power opened using redstone. Then we do have the wooden doors, which we can open with a fisk or every tool. Then we do also have an iron trapdoor, which behaves the same as the iron door does, only usable by redstone. Then we do have the wooden trapdoors, also behave the same as the doors, are openable by using the fisk. Then we do have wooden pressure plates. You can lay items on them and they will get detected. Give out a signal strength of 1, I think. Here we do have heavy weighted pressure plates, give out a higher signal strength than either of those two. They can detect items and also player, of course, as you can see. And we do also have a stone pressure plate, which do not detect items but do detect mobs and players. Then we have the trap chest, which gives out a signal as soon as it's getting opened. Then we do have TNT, the big boom. Then we do have the target block, can redirect redstone, can detect if something has shot, where something has shot on it. It's usable for minigames. Lecterns can be used for selecting stuff using pages on the book. You can read it up using a comparator. The daylight night sensor, which detects it switches on when it's not, when it's switched on day mode, it switches on when it's day, and on night mode, if it's night, then it switches on. Then we do have the wooden button. It is a bit longer pulse than the stone buttons. Then we do have the lever, which you can switch on or off. Then we do have the tripwire hook, which with one on the opposite side and string in between, we can detect if someone walks through it. Here we do have the redstone lamp. It's used for, it can be detected by an observer that it's getting updated. It's spending light. It's a toggleable light source with that. Then we do have observers. They can detect everything what's in front of their face and then give out a 1-tick signal, which also forces pistons to spit out their blocks. Then we do have note blocks. They can be used as a detection source, can play sounds, and can also be detected by the observer that they get clicked or they play. And so this is it for today's episode, or for this tutorial, or whatever that I should call it. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you did so, please leave a like, and if you really enjoyed it, then make sure to subscribe to get notified about my newest videos, tutorials, and series, and to see more tutorials like this. Until next time, goodbye!